Welcome back, folks, to the Mailwright Show. This is episode 207. Unfortunately, my co-host, Robert, is not here. He's gone on another little vacation. He's sunning himself somewhere down south. But I'm holding the fort, and I've got a great guest here. We've got Chris Bentley joining us. So, Chris, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm super pumped. Ready to talk some technology and a little bit about my background. And I'm sure, you guys can look me up, but over 16 years of real estate experience, multiple different states that I've sold in. I now have a financial advisor license, so a securities license. So I have a capital management company that I have an Amazon store that I started. So I'm just a not entrepreneur and more of like a business owner, I think, more when you look at the different definitions. But I just like to dabble in different things. But real estate is really my go-to.
Oh, that's great. So, and you're based in Dallas, is that correct?
Correct.
And it's you're more in the kind of upper luxury area.
Yeah, I do it all, but luxury seems to find me.
Well, that's great news. So let's delve in my first question. How do you utilize on lead generation to generate leads, and if you do, what have been some of your successes and failures on online marketing in the past couple of years? Can you give us a kind of broad outline? How do you view it, and do you use online lead generation in general?
Well, Facebook is changing as of, I believe, the last couple of days. But in general, I used a lot of Facebook on personal and a business page, more on the personal side. And then LinkedIn was really, really hot for me for a while. Now it's kind of cooled off a little bit for me. I have a Twitter, I have a Snapchat, I have Instagram. Instagram is really good for me. Facebook stories is really good for me. But Facebook has changed up a little bit, and they haven't really come out with this whole announcement yet. But I think Zuckerberg was talking about it. But it's changed. Like the way you post on your personal page is going to be more based off of just personal, like friends, family, talking about stuff. And then if you want to do like a business post, then you have to actually have a business page. Right now I'm kind of skirting it a little bit and like kind of cheating the system because I emailed support and just because of my, I've been there in my fan base, but that's going to change at some point, and it's just going to be only personal posts.
So from that, you seem to be suggesting that you actually use your personal profile more than your actual business page and paid advertising. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do a lot more branding than I think a lot of other people do. So what I mean by that is I show houses for sale. I show more of like the business aspect versus more of like, hey, like, I don't get into politics. I don't get into any of that stuff. So it's more like my day to day, or like if I have a great business thing that I, came up with, I'll be like, hey guys, next time you do this, do it this way. So it's just kind of a way for more of a personal interaction versus, I think business pages are great. It feels kind of corporate-ish and very like kind of tight, depending on how you run your business page. But that's how I feel about my page, at least. It's just very like dry.
So when it comes to lead generation, what are your methodologies? What is working for you? And do you have a kind of set system for lead generation online?
I try to post every day across all spectrums except Snapchat. I'm not really big on Snapchat, but some people are. I'm not that young, and if you have like a younger demographic, it usually is a little better. But yeah, a lot of it is just more branding. So they'll see that I'm posting a lot of stuff, or I got some houses to sell, or I have some great content, and I do some video stuff on YouTube as well. So then they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, well, you have some great marketing. I want you to list my home, or vice versa, being like, hey, I'm looking for a home. Do you know any, can you show me some properties? So it's just kind of nice. And Dallas is a lot of relocation. So a lot of people will do some research on me. They'll hear about me, do a Google search something, and then they'll come across my Facebook page. And then that's really like kind of from what I've done and how I like interview other people for vendors and stuff. It's kind of like the nail in the coffin for me in terms of if I'm going to hire this person or not. So if you have a really nice like Facebook page and it's really like outstanding and you kind of steer clear from the politics and the cuss words and stuff like that, you should
Exactly. Keep it professional.
yeah, I think that pretty much like nails the deal shut.
So, going to ask you what's CRM, but my next question is, how important do you think the website, having a good website, not only for your brokerage, but I don't know if you got your own personal website. I think you have, haven't you? How important do you think in 2009 having a reasonably quality website, web presence is?
Well, for years I had no website. My website was like the broker's website, which was just a website to search for homes. And then I changed it up and bought my own website. I had an idea about how I wanted to do it, and then on top of that, I just create a lot of content. So I had some great stuff to actually post on there, and that's helped me tremendously because people can now like search me, not have to go through Facebook, not have to really dig through a bunch of stuff. They actually have, my profile standing or staring at, at them in the face at the computer. And then they can see like, I have everything there. I have like YouTube videos I can go to. I have my books for sale. I have houses, that are for sale. I have a lot of different stuff. So people will go on there and I can check it through just Google Analytics and I can see how long they're staying on there. What pages are they looking at? How long are they looking at those pages? And really, it's just they go on there and they click to see, like, am I real? And, like, am I doing a good job? And that usually, like, seals the deal for them.
Right. So the website, is it, did you go down the WordPress route or did you go, like, to the Real Geeks route? Is it a package that you bought, or how have you approached it?
Mine was more like I did a lot of research and figured out it's pretty damn expensive to have something really nice, and then you have to pay like ongoing services. So I'm not really at that level where I need to have that much 24 hours of or 42 78 hours of maintenance all the time. Like I can just go in there and cut and paste and drag or upload something when I need to. Usually my costs are anywhere from, I'd say, about $300 to $400 a year. I try to keep it super frugal.
So what platform were you using?
I'll share it. It's not a big deal. It's just GoDaddy.
Oh, you're right. You're just using the GoDaddy. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. If it's getting your results, that's great. So when it comes to your CRM of choice, is there any particular one? Have you tried a few? And if you have, can you give us some feedback about that, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, the brokerage I use and a lot of other people use is called Conversion. It's KUN version, right? They're pretty good. I've used them for different stuff. Like they have emails that'll go out on schedule and you can kind of customize it. You can do like different hashtags and stuff like that and create funnels. It's really nice. The MLS feature is really the thing that I use the most in terms of just emailing people properties, and I don't have to physically do it like every single day. It'll just do it automatically. So it's pretty nice in terms of that. It updates every, I think, 2 hours, something like that. So it's very quick versus a lot of other companies are 6 to 12 hours.
Yeah. So that one. So what's been so. There's always a little bit of conflict in using the tools that your broker provides, because obviously you want to keep that database that you've built, that you've sweated to develop, is really your property, and you might decide to leave the brokerage. If you choose to use the brokerage's tool, normally part of the agreement is they have access to your database. And they can market, if you leave the brokerages in your agreement, they can normally market to that database. So what's been your own position and thoughts around? Do you agree with some of the things I've just said, or?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's 100%. I've seen some stuff where the broker will go in and there'll be like a conflict. It'll be a situation where like it's my lead, somebody called in or not called in, but like let's say they clicked into some link and then they downloaded their information. But then, Johnny Pants at the office is sitting in front of the broker and he's like, oh, well, that's my guy because that's my friend or whatever. So there's a little bit of politics in that. I always recommend having an Excel spreadsheet with whoever contacts that you have in conversion or whatever your CRM is that isn't, tied to your broker. So like I just have a separate spreadsheet with people that are my clients that if something were to happen, like God forbid, and the rug gets pulled out from underneath me, at least I still have their information.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think having either your own personal CRM or your own system is probably, but if you just want to use Excel spreadsheet. So when it comes to the Dallas area, what have been some of the changes that you observed in Dallas, especially around the real estate agent area in the past couple of years?
Wow, the real estate agent area. Well, it's really competitive here. We have over 66,000 real estate agents in just the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think Fort Worth maybe because they have their own MLS, maybe a little bit more. But it's just a lot of competition. So in order to stand out from the competition, you have to be over and beyond in terms of communication, in terms of branding, in terms of just everything you do. So, it's a real dogfight sometimes. And up until recently, I would say last summer, probably about Mayish, maybe early June, was really the peak for real estate here. So it's been steadily slowing down in terms of not a lot of people have been coming as much as before, or house prices have just kind of slowed down and gone down. So it's been changing from a seller's market into a buyer's market. So you won't go out. There used to be a house would hit the market and there'd be 5 people waiting at the door to like go look at it. It's really not that way right now, except for properties under 200,000. Still multiple offers.
Oops, he's gone. Hopefully he will come back. He's come back. He's coming back, I think. Yeah, he's come back.
Sure.
So is that 200 market, is that obviously first time buyers, but also has it been driven by a lot of investment buyers?
Yeah, it's been both. So it's, if you go into a house and it's under 200,000, chances are somebody's going to put a cash bid on it, and then it's going to become like a rental or a flip. So it's just real difficult. The stuff that I've seen recently that are under 200,000, depending on which area in Dallas, is going to be really tough. And what I mean by tough is like foundation issues or roof issues. And most first-time home buyers, I mean, they just want to get into a house, but you can't get them into that. Like, there's no way that an appraisal will satisfy something like that.
Yeah, I understand. So, on the luxury side of the market, so I think I've got the feeling from what we've been saying is that you don't do a lot of adverts. You use social media and you seem to be posting quite a lot of content just to make sure that you're in front of your target audience, and then you make sure there's some interesting content on your website. So when they check you over, they see you're legit, but you're using social media just to keep yourself in front of your target audience. Would that be correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So what other kind of marketing, do you still do open houses and more traditional? Do you still do cold calling and phone calling? Do you still utilize those methodologies?
I think all different stuff works. It just depends on like how you use it and how much you use it. So, I was having this discussion, and I follow a lot of like Gary Vee and his stuff, and what he talks about is like pretty much spot on. Like, you can do mailers, you can do postcards. You could do flyers on people's windshields, because I used to do that when I was a kid. You can't really do that here in Dallas, but you could do knocking on doors. You can cold call. You can do that kind of stuff. I don't do half of that stuff. I stick mostly to social media, creating content. I have different leads coming in from different spots in terms of like Zillow and Realtor.com. I don't do any really homes, but those type of deals that come in, I get listings, and then they get transferred over as buyers when they come over. So I do a lot of that stuff. I don't do as many open houses unless it's a listing of my own. So if it's a listing of my own, then I'll do the open houses. So I'm just really particular about where I spend my time now versus a newer agent where you just have like a ton of time, you got nothing going on, like you got to make something happen. Like I'm past that point now. So now I have a team member, like I'm trying to like scale. So in order for me to scale, it's more like I have to do time management. I have to make sure my team member is doing a good job. I have to make sure my name's still, integrity wise, still good. So it's a little bit different in terms of where I am now than where I would say I was, a couple years ago.
Yeah, sure. We're going to go for our break, folks. We'll be back. We'll be delving in the world of Chris Bailey and how he's marketing himself in a very competitive market effectively. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We've had a bit of a chat with Chris. It's nice to get somebody that's actually in the battle, as they say, actually doing some, because a lot of times we have experts and we have a lot of people on the show, folks, but it's nice to get somebody, like I say, in the battle. And of course, I'm missing my co-host, Robert, who's off on vacation, but he will be back next week. So, Chris, if you were a new agent starting in the Dallas area this week, and you could give that agent some advice, give like 2 to 3 tips or pointers, what would you say to that new agent that was coming on asking advice from you?
The first thing is you got to find a mentor that is a high producing agent and that has time for you. So that's kind of how I started my career. Was I found somebody that was a really good producer, and this is 16 years ago, so the marketing was a little bit different. But I would just go out and find people. That would be step number 2. Find people that were interested in buying a house or selling a house. Put a list together, and then I just presented it to my mentor. And I was willing to take a percentage cut, and I would just listen to my mentor and make calls. Obviously that's a little different time. Now it's more like text and email, but I would just watch them and see how they carry themselves, see how they talk to the person, listen to the questions that the buyer or seller had. And then I go on appointments with them. I made myself super available so I can learn the business, learn the ropes. And then once I learned how to do that, all the basic stuff, then I can focus more on like the more complex stuff, like the scenarios. Like I have a buyer that's looking for this, or I run into this problem. And that's probably 90% of the business is dealing with the problems, not so much, this is a house, this is a door, this is a key that opens the door. It's more of, this buyer is trying to do this, or the seller won't negotiate that. So that's, I would say that's my top 2, is just going out and finding a mentor that's busy, has stuff going on, and then 2, just prospect, list together and just work that list.
Yeah, I think that is great advice. How important is it still to find the right brokerage that suits what you're looking for or the stage of career you're at?
Yeah, it's tough. I've looked at a lot of different brokerages here because, that's what you do as a contractor. You kind of just look around. So it's just, we have a lot of people here that are not very high brokerages, but are full service, meaning that they have different stuff available to you in terms of CRMs and websites and open houses and different stuff like that. And then I've had some that are very straightforward, just very plain. We'll give you 100%, but you got to know what the hell you're doing. So it really depends on you and how you like to work. Some people love going into the office every day and like getting their coffee and sitting down and like working, versus me. I don't like doing that. Like I like getting in my car and working and prospecting, and if that means going to breakfast, lunch, and dinner with different people every single day for the next 12 months, so be it. Networking events, stuff like that. So mine's more of like a boots on the ground versus some people like to go to an office. It just really depends on your style, and then things change. So you could be going great with your brokerage at whatever percentage that you need a website and you need the open houses and stuff like that. And you may switch and be like, you know what, like now that I got people that want to work with me, now I need to have a team with a bigger commission schedule, and now I need to hire employees to help me. So it's just a matter of where you are really in the business and how you feel comfortable.
So in the Dallas area, I don't know if there's been pressure on commission levels, and you've had Zillow with a home buyer, these schemes where they offer to buy a property. I don't know if Redfin also, has that affected the market considerably in the Dallas area, and how have you countered that pressure on your commission?
Well, the way I got out of it, and when I first started here in Dallas, was that I was a 100% agent working at a discount brokerage. So I would just call people all day and offer them to sell their home for $500 or for $1,500, and then I would do marketing for the extra $1,000. And that was really cool, except that I would pick up the cheapest people ever. I mean, it was just like the worst of the worst. And, I really hate to say that, but it was. And then before you know it, I just had a bunch of people that had problems everywhere, and I wasn't getting paid. And, amazing as, was closing all those deals and getting all the accolades of closing a certain amount of property, I wasn't making any money, so every deal I was like, forking over $100 in my time. So that's kind of where that is. And I've closed a couple of deals. Well, I closed one deal with Door, and there's another company called Knock here, but their service isn't very good. So
I just wanted to. I think you've touched a really important area there, Chris, because what I think you're saying, because you started in that area of the discounted agent, the discounted brokerage, is I think what you're saying is that these models have been around quite a while. They have a new spin on them, a new flavour, but they attract. And obviously, this is a generality.
right.
They attract clientele normally that, unless you're a beginner, you're starting your career, you generally want to avoid anyway. That's the impression what I think you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody down. I mean,
No.
I would, it's just, I get it. Like it's either a tight situation or you want to make as much money as possible. Like I totally get it. It's just, as an agent, you get run over by those people because they expect you to do the same amount of money that you would have gotten if you would have gotten 6% or 3% for, $500 or $1,500. So, what has happened in my experience is like these companies like Door and Knock and stuff like that, their customer experience is terrible. So at some point in the near future, people are just going to be like, yeah, I've tried that before and the service was awful. I would rather just pay somebody the full percent to get it done right than I would to pay, a small amount of money to do it wrong. And then I have to spend another, whatever it is, 60 days fooling around with the thing. So I think that's what's going to happen at some point. And you're 100% correct. I mean, they just put a whole new polish on the thing, and it's like, oh, this whole new product has come out, and it's like, no, it's been around for a while. It it wasn't publicized like that.
So what is you? Because you mentioned, I think before we went for the break or slightly after we came back, you know, that you do use Zillow and Realtor. So do you actually pay for leads through those two platforms?
I
What?
do. Yeah. I mean, I used to not do it. I got burned by homes.com. They changed their Google analytics and they got dropped by Google. And they changed like their homepage or something. So I paid up to 6 months and I couldn't get out of the contract and I wasn't getting any leads. So, you know, I'm hemorrhaging thousands of dollars every month and like nobody's calling me. So, uh, you know, I ended up almost living in my car, honestly. So that's a whole nother podcast, but I talk about it a lot in some of the other ones I've done. But yeah, like you can really go super crazy with that stuff and then not get the returns because a lot of people that call, they may be 60 to 6 months to 2 years away from either buying or selling their house. So it's really tough. Like for somebody that's new in the business, you know, they think that like, okay, if I just go out and spend, you know, $5,000 a month, that I'm going to go out and, you know, double that money and triple that money. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm just riding the gravy train. It doesn't happen like that. Like I tried that. I got burned. Like, don't do it.
I think that's another excellent point, and this is why I wanted this discussion with you, actually, Chris. Is that's so true? Because what they don't realise is a lot of those leads is the quality of them, and it's the time difference between somebody actually looking, thinking of either buying or selling their property, and when they actually do the deed, it can be quite a period of time before they actually put the house on the market, where you're getting that lead from Zillow or from Realtor.com. So a lot of people just don't realise that, do they, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing because you're like, okay, well, if I spend X dollars, then I should get X leads, and X leads will turn into, you know, let's say your ratio is like 1 out of 10 leads will lead to a sale, and then, you know, then I'll be able to rock and roll that month or rock and roll that, you know, quarter or whatever it is. And it really doesn't really happen like that. It could be, you know, you could bat just like baseball. You can go 0 for 20. And then after the third month, you can get 3 deals, but those first 2 months are broke, you know. So, you know, just being a business owner, an entrepreneur, you're going to end up really squeezing yourself doing stuff like that.
Well, because a few other real estate podcasts and that I listen to myself, and it's a dirty little secret, is that the amount of properties up for sale fluctuates, but it keeps reasonably. But lead inflation, as I call it, the amount of leads generated have exploded in the past 10 years. So every one real person selling a house, there might be almost 10 leads. It depends on how you quantify what a lead is. And a lot of agents really got to understand what they're getting from various systems, isn't it, Chris? Because what they think they're getting and what they're actually getting is totally different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I get stuff that people are just interested to know, like how big the garage is, or can you send me a picture of the upstairs bedroom? Well, like each one of those cost me, let's say, $45. So I just spent $45 for you pressing a button to say, you know, can you send me a picture of the upstairs, or, you know, how big is the garage? And, you know, like, and I'm not going to run out there to go measure somebody's garage because I got my own things going on. So, and then of course you get a bunch of people that just want to kick the tires. They got nothing to do on like a Saturday night. They're sitting at home with a glass of wine and they just want somebody to like talk to them about this property. And they have no interest in going out and looking at it. They just, you know, got nothing to do on a Saturday night. So it's just buyer beware. I think it looks really great on paper in terms of, you know, I got these leads coming in and 1 out of 10 will close, but like in reality, like you have to really be in the right place in terms of business to really do that.
And the other problem with systems like Zillow is that they're sending out those leads to a group of agents. So, you know, the quickness of response, and if you're like the third or fourth person that's responding to that, that's ringing up that prospect, the kind of response you get isn't normally very welcoming, isn't it?
No, I mean, some people don't want to talk to you. Some people just, they press the button, they expect something different to happen. And I totally get it. Like I'm a consumer, you're a consumer. Like if you press a button, you expect different things from, different stuff. That's just the way it works. So, um, but the thing that I was really looking at, I've done some research a little bit, is really when you look at it, like a lot of these online marketing firms like the Zillow and the Realtors and Homes, and a lot of those guys, like what they're doing is just gathering data about us and then selling that data to us. And all they do is they just have an MLS feed and a website, and that's it. So I mean, they're just making tons and tons and tons of money on it. And they control where the leads go. So if you got an in with those guys, they may be pushing more leads to you than the other person. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous, but that's a whole nother topic.
Right, Chris, we're going to end it now. I think it's been a fascinating discussion. You have to come back. Hopefully you agree to come back and we delve in some of these other topics that we just scratched on. How's the best way to find out more about you and what you're up to in Dallas?
Social media, my website. So it's just Chris and then D as in danger Bentley.com, or Chris D as in danger Bentley. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Snapchat, but I usually don't really get on there that much. So email, DM, whatever, however you can get to me is fine. I answer everybody.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. So we're going to wrap it up now, folks. Hopefully you've learned some insights. I think we've covered a lot of territory, actually, Chris, and we've given some insights to our audience. We'll be back next week with another great guest, and hopefully Robert will be back with me as well. And hopefully we'll be able to help you get the success for yourself and the family that you're looking for from your real estate business. We'll be back next week, folks. Bye.